Welcome everybody to tonight's round at Watkins Glen, as we are with the rookies, with the 22 drivers currently in the grid. Double race, so 2 20 minutes action for our drivers. Majority of them into the Ferraris, but as stated some time ago, you can see here there is custom bob for all the drivers because yes, we utilize the LFM BOP, which brings us straightforward sort of complete equality in the field. Nevertheless, we are seeing a lot of Ferraris possible because of their easiness to be driven. And for now we are into qualifying with 40 minutes to go to the qualifying session. We will have two different races of 30 minutes of driving each. And so we'll see two different starts and two different finishes, but regardless, the qualifying will declare the grid for both races. There will not be qualifying in the middle, nor the results from this race will interfere with the starting grid from race number 2, as we now with the first driver that will submit a lap time. Relative robot in the number 7 Mercedes here. This track usually being used for endurance rounds. IndyCar once, a lot of time ago to be fair. No wait, IndyCar. Why did I say IndyCar? I meant NASCAR. No wait, it was IMSA for a bit. Then it never. I can't remember if it was. Wait, I think I'm dumb, but I'm pretty sure it was either IMSA or IndyCar. Yeah, it was. A lot of time ago. Not here. Okay. Yeah, I was remember correctly. It was the IndyCar series. Some time ago, in 2017, that's why. Because IMSA still goes there, in the 6th hour of the Watkins Glen. We also have the NASCAR Cup Series, the Xfinity Series. We had the Formula 1 for some time in the old days, but for now, Sébastien Bourdais is, and possibly will be, the fastest lap holder of the track. The NASCAR Rounds is possibly the most famous race that takes place here with the Go Bowling at the Glen. With this year's round, it was ongoing on the international layout. This is not the international layout. This is the international layout, but NASCAR utilized the national layout, so they cut here this whole part of the show. So heel and toe turns are not driven. In fact, you can see the straight coming from the distance there. That's the NASCAR layout, which saw William Byron winning it also. But for now, we are going with the GT3 with Robot that is going to complete his lap and essentially put the first effective time at lap. So 44.617 current pole position, but Woodward goes slightly quicker in a 44.492. As we also have Sims getting closer to the finish line. And number 32 Ferrari. He is going to improve by 2 times, so this means he will join a 4th place for now. And Buckley went in 6th place. There is an incident by both drivers. So both Sims and Robot had it, with Sims completely missing the braking point and Robot going over the curb a bit too quickly. So that's why the two cars were found going wide into the distance. There's currently Anderson going a bit quicker than himself. But it will not be enough for Paul for now, as he is going currently 600 quicker. And just as I say, the gap is now 4 tenths. Still, he needs 6.5 to make it happen. Gains another there. Not really sure how it will go. And his lap was not a valid one, considering the off-track he had in the very final part. So he will stay for now in 5th place. 6 tenths away from Paul, which is getting improved by Woodward, but there is also Fernando that comes across the finish line in 3rd place and remains in 3rd place. The improvement wasn't enough to improve his position. It's going to be Brazier going half a second quicker. And this means that he can get into the top 10, and as a matter of fact he gets into 9th place, exactly 1 second and 13 milliseconds away from Woodward, still maintaining the lead of the whole pack, and he already gets demoted to 10th as Plaster went into 7th place with his Audi number 969. There is Conway going very quickly there for the SimTech Racing into 6th place. He's currently improving by 3 tenths. Actually 4 tenths nearly. That's why that's because he went wide. So it actually means that he lost some place. And he improves into 4th place, 4 times away from Woodward, that still stays on top of everybody else. But there's still chance to make an improvement for him. In fact, he is already on the subject as Buckley goes quicker. 7th place for number 11 McLaren. There is also Geyser improving, there is Conway improving, there is Van Onk improving, and by a lot. There is also Stewart improving, but for now we'll stay with probably Van Onacker because he is the closest to the finish line. He goes quicker, but it's not going to be enough to make an improvement. He stays in 11th place, but he's already again on a subject because he's improving already in turn 1. For now 4 times. It's the gap from Paul, but with the latest update in the timing, it could become a 3rd, and if this turn goes well, actually doesn't. and he remains with an improvement, but in 4th place. For now, he creates some gap from Geyser behind in the push for 1-4. There is also Sims that needs just 30 milliseconds to improve his position in the grid. And with currently 3 times on his time, it could very well be a front row if things can go smooth. And he goes in 4th, tied with Fernando, literally 213 milliseconds away from pole, but since Fernando did it first, he will gain the top spot of the two. But he's already on a good improvement, and seems also a very good improvement, currently making a pole position time. But unfortunately, Sims lost some time there, so his time will not be enough anymore for pole, which is actually the opposite way around for Fernando, that is not making a pole position time, but he was improving by 1/10, which would have been enough for second. And he goes extremely wide there, and this means that his lap is not going to be an improvement, so same goes for Sims behind. Whilst the robot actually improves, gets 33 milliseconds away from Woodward, but it's not going to be quite the jump for his Mercedes-Benz. And this also means that his qualifying is now over. Same goes for Geyser, same goes for Hoti, Emmanuel Elsen, Martinelli and Burgio, and Cotterill. So Woodward possibly has the chance to stay on pole, unless Fernando and Sims want to say otherwise. For now, Fernando has the chance. 1 times better than himself. McCutcheon goes quicker, but not enough for any particular position worthy. So there is Brazier that can still make at least 1 place into 11th. Even Geyser completes the qualifying session and doesn't go over it, Buckley too. And Brazier will definitely not improve, since he's already 3 times below the cut line, which is himself. But here the question is frankly different, with Fernando going nearly 4 times quicker, but going extremely wide again, and maybe asking too much for himself. He goes quicker, but he is 2 times quicker, on the line to get even pole if things go smoothly. And on the last possible lap, he actually goes quicker than anybody else. He goes into pole position by 47 milliseconds, and the 23 is now in pole, so Woodward gets position lower, but it's actually going to be very likely pole Sims, and in fact, as a matter of fact, he goes quicker than anybody else, 63 milliseconds quicker than Fernando. So Woodward goes from pole to outside the top row in the matter of 40 seconds, and his qualifying is also completed, as McCutcheon goes into 6th place with a beautiful jump in the very final moments, since he was times away from the position upwards, and overtakes Conway into 6th place. and the plaster also is improving a fairly bit. And he goes to 10.5 quicker, so he jumps into 9th place overall, and Segers, unfortunately, goes wide. He was nearly 7 tenths quicker, enough to get into 11th place. He will stay in 18th, unfortunately, so we are now 2 minutes away from the beginning of the race. So we'll go with the pole sitter, which is okay, it's easier. Which is Paul Sims. These ones will remain the same also for race number 2. In number 42 Ferrari, we have Elias Fernando in second place with Neil Woodward in third, Ladislav Drobat in fourth with Adam Anderson, and then Kurkon in fifth and sixth. We then have Mark Conway and Jamel Geyser in row number 4. We got Joe Pleister and James Buckley in 5th row with Sven van Acker and Duncan Brazier in 6th row. Andy Rohrer and Harry Hottie completes 13th and 14th place with Mark Gigi and Jim Emanuelsen in 15th and 16th place. Then Mark Stewart and unfortunately Steven Segers are in 9th row with Ivan Martinelli and Giorgio Burgio in 19th and 10th place. We then have James Williams completing the last row with Martin Cotterill in the 107 car, as the first cars have started the engines. So we'll go with the pole sitter Paul Sims for a little drive through the American track, the good one, because honestly Indianapolis is not that bad. Oh, and Anderson doesn't put his car in the grid on time, so he will start from the pit lane. Very odd. Not really sure why, as we are now going through the 11 turns of the American track using IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, Cup Series and Xfinity, Truck Series even, and a lot of less known categories. Turn 1 usually made in second gear and banked a lot, and then here completely full gas into second, third and fourth turn. Usually flat here. A lot of the track is actually flat. And then we got the back straight. That will end with the inner loop, which takes place in third gear. You usually brake around here on this Marshall post on the left. Get completely on the inside as quickly as possible to jump the curves. First, second, third and fourth all jumped across. But be sure to not cut too much, otherwise you get both a track limit violation and a trip into the wall. Straightforward. We have the outer loop, which is the deviance between the national and the international track, with the NASCAR that chooses the right path. We are going to choose the left side. We have then chute number 6. Another banked turn, usually in third gear too, this one here. Downhill, and you usually try to brake after these boards. Usually brake here on the 150 meters. Second gear for you. You try to push as much as possible, but not too much, otherwise you can go into oversteer, but that was 2, turn 7, because this is the boot section. Next, we have hill. You usually brake at a 120 marker into the inside, but utilize a lot of the outside curb, considering the curb is not considering out of track. We pass this board here on the right and then brake. And this one is off camber, so it's a bit difficult to make everything even just stay on track, since this track is made with a lot of bank turns. You don't have a lot of downforce, and that turn actually takes you out of sight. You brake around 80 meters, completely on the inside. You then try to stay as much on the outside as possible of 10, and then we have 11, which is, guess what? Yes, another bank turn made in third or fourth gear, depending on your car. But this was a lap of the Watkins Glen circuit. .5 kilometers long. And green light, and away we go. We have a start by the Porsche, which is extremely quick. For a moment I thought it was a drift, but it's really not. Side by side for the two drivers up there, with the Ferrari of the Mercedes of Drobat, apologies, falling a bit off schedule, with Buckley on the outside of McCutcheon, which lost a couple of places since the start of the race, now in 9th place only. And then there is side by side with McCutcheon behind, that wants back the position, but it's not going to happen there. And he will stay behind, which is actually an overtake happens. Behind, there is a crash between several drivers, and I'm seeing the McLaren that ends up in the outer part of the circuit, which was Mark GG going unfortunately out, trying a side by side into the chicane is not the best idea possible, especially in the very early moments of the race, as we also have a bit of a battle between Fernando Woodward with the Ferrari number 999 having to worry about what happened behind into the mirror, because Drobat now wants to pass him into a hill. Mercedes gets the inside line for the moment, but then becomes the outside. Little tap between the two drivers. Ferrari covers the inside as much as possible. Actually covers too much and goes straight into the barrier. Doesn't hit anybody else. But that was highly possibly. Wonder if it was a contact from behind. Yeah, there was a contact from behind, as a matter of fact. And he then faces the other way around, and also the wall, with Van Acker that was trying to go in the outside of Otti, but it's highly difficult, and stays behind the 10th placed McLaren. Oh, McCutcheon showing yellow flag and going sideways into the SS. Major crash between 2-3 different drivers, with also Van Acker that, following that, is now into the wall and into the pits. Side by side between the Ferrari and Roher of Segers, between the Porsche 97 that loses another spot because of the damage he received from the incident. Extremely wide, and there is the McLaren going into the inside of the Ferrari, which then hands with a push, and Cotterill goes sideways and into shoot. He loses all the places he had until now. I think we can see what really happened between all the drivers back there. I think we can see here. Oops, I think it was this one here. So there was a contact between McCutcheon, and I didn't notice which car was there. You can see the two cars following, which were the McLaren and the Porsche. They were roller now into the pits, and I'm trying to find the other McLaren, but I can't seem to find it. It was actually a Ferrari, apologies, that's why. It was Van Acker and Roller getting involved in that incident with McCutcheon. For now still is on track and going forward. But then we also have a challenge for the first spots. Fight between the two leaders of the race. 2 times distance for now, with last lap being a 5.7, well actually 5.7 for both drivers. So same goes for all. There is a yellow flag at 888 with Anderson into the wall on the last corner. It wasn't some from behind, that's for sure. It was actually, oh, a simple mistake into the grass. Very odd one. And we are in paradise for a moment. So Fernandez teams are 3 seconds clear of the drivers behind. There's Conway and Geyser. And Buckley into the wall after the bus stop. I suppose we know what happened. Can see, no, behind there is no one. Into the first, second, and that's the issue. And on the jump, we then having no control over the car. And now battling with Burgio for position number 11. The Ferrari number 167 of the Norwegian, staying in 13th place. Anderson again sideways. Clearly something happened also here. Oh, another trip into the grass, but this time ended up with the barriers twice, not even once. We then have Mark GG gaining the place on James Williams. In the Bentley number 41. With Woodward very keen to make a pass. But we can see from the Bentley with McCurcon heavily damaged, and Woodward that also is heavily damaged for the incident that happened earlier on. You can see the Ferrari of Woodward trying to overtake McCutcheon's one, and they're managing to do so, with Williams going completely sideways and into the tarmac. There is also Placer going side by side with the Porsche of Geyser. Oh, there is a contact between the two drivers also here, with Geyser making contact also with Brazier. Twice, thrice, and there is a Ferrari going completely sideways too. And what is happening here? I just saw the last part because not sure why, but it didn't show me nothing of what I asked. See, this was the contact between the Porsche and the Audi, with the Porsche covering the outside a bit too late, and also getting hit from the side by the Lamborghini, number 91. So you can see from the situation. And then the Lamborghini, not really sure why they went straight into the car. Possibly, unfortunately, Lamborghini driver in the 91 with Duncan Brazier driving it. Unfortunately, it was a late break. Which really means wrong time, wrong spot for Geyser, which could have went away easily with it. But there was a sort of out of control Lamborghini going straight into his car, which now leaves him in a battle for 14th. And there's been something happening here. There was Stewart losing some spots and also coming with a contact with the barriers as he went wide in the bus stop. There's also Geyser into the wall with Brazier and Segers having a bit of a fight after Lamborghini's. The Lamborghini driver had contact with the Porsche earlier on, so this means Segers makes it into 8th without too much trouble. Actually 7th. There isn't another pit here, so unfortunately you have to deal with damage for the entire course of the race, or to try to repair it as quickly as possible, but you can't do much. Segers unfortunately goes extremely wide there. Also Brazier does the same. The difference is that Segers didn't lose too much time, whilst Brazier lost some spots there. One, but I thought there was a second coming. With Burjo nearly losing completely the car into tow. With blue flags showing for some drivers. And Anderson overtaking Cotterill for 17th place over here. We'll go back here. The fight for 9th place, as the battle in the lead has disappeared since Sims managed to create a gap of 1.5 seconds from Fernando. Burjo this time may have the chance, since this car in the V10 developed by Audi has extreme front-end damage, so top speed completely cut in half. Unfortunately the McLaren had a terrible exit through the S's, so it will stay like this for now. And as I said it, the McLaren goes in the front of the two. 9th place for Burjo. So now Emanuelsen is the next one in a row to try to achieve Brazier's place. Is also Buckley, and now managed to cut the gap to Segers by a tiny bit. 7 tenths is now the difference between the 291 and the 11. Now going through the S's. Seems like there is a bit more top speed for the Ferrari driver. There's also some more fighting ongoing back here since Emanuelsen has cut the gap to Brazier. And there is now less than 2 tenths of difference between the two. Sensei is trying as hard as possible to cut the gap to the Lamborghini up there. Conway lost the place for some reason. Oh, that was a high loss of control by the Ferrari driver, and then a loss of place too. While back here something bad happens, since I'm seeing that the drivers are not in the same position I left them. Is the Ferrari tried to move, contact with the Ferrari, and both drivers nearly went into the barriers. But this means the Brazier is now in 14th place and Emanuelsen is in 15th place, with Woodard gaining a place. Actually 2, with this overtake on the Lamborghini driver, even if it's not completed yet. In fact, it stays on the outside and stays behind, unable to effectively complete the move. Wood unfortunately hits again the wall, so all on his own, and stays behind Brazier, therefore 13th place. Is Stewart up here in 10th place, effectively being the defendant of the top half of the grid, with Martinelli following. GG switch back into 12, and then we are seeing here Brazier and Woodward competing for position into the bus stop. There is a contact that was, to be fair, bound to happen, and contact again with McCutcheon. No, with it was Woodward, and Mark GG is into the pits. Oh, that's why he went completely into the barrier on his own. There was Woodward here out of basically contention with Brazier that touched. It was McCutcheon. I was correct at the first guess. So now Woodward finds himself into 15th place. But I want to see how it exactly happened from the helicam. You can see here there were two cars trying to go for a single gap, and Lawin didn't leave space, unfortunately, and in fact now he's into the pits. So Segers and Hoti now going for 6th place. There is the McLaren up here, second in front. But losing time on Ferrari behind, with the Belgian managing to cut the gap by 2 seconds in the last lap. You can see how Segers is practically demolishing the gap as the time passes, and in fact it's already going into the inside, into turn 10. It stays behind though, it doesn't go for the move, even if it was completely in his hands. And Buckley behind is now getting closer to this fight here. For now, actually, Buckley becomes more of a menace than anything for Segers, considering that he has lost 4 times on Buckley. He is now lapping at 47.0. Even if you can see Segers getting very close as the time passes. But in this moment, I think that Buckley is going to be very tight with Segers for position, as Hoti has to defend against 2 drivers. And with this rhythm, with 7 minutes to go. And the leader is currently showing yellow flags. Oh, the leader is not anymore the leader because he went wide and lost everything in the bus stop. This is what happened. He goes over the curb. Oh, and he loses the rear. Now into third place, fourth place even, because we are back in paradise. Because Placer is trying to go from the outer line and essentially completes the overtake, as a matter of fact, into third. So now Fernando is the leader of the race. With Paul Sims bound to stay in third. From Placer and Sims are 4 times gapped. But I really think that Sims will not lose too much time behind number 969 with a British driver. Lapping 46.6. Sims was able to make even 44th earlier on, so I don't think much time will pass. For the overtake. Even if for now, I really think the flat-spotted tires are not helping Sims' situation since he went basically sideways for a good 50 to 100 meters. Segers this time is extremely close. In fact, it tries the overtake. It doesn't go through, and Segers actually stays in 7th place. And Buckley is now back into the fight, but there is also Placer and Sims, which seems that managed to cut the gap by as much as possible. Now following extremely closely. So 2 fight ongoing in the last 3 minutes of the race, with Fernando down one to effectively win the race by 2 seconds if he doesn't make any other mistake. There is also Conway getting closer to these two fighting with a very fast rhythm. Sims can still take the podium. Martinelli is into the wall with heavy damage on his car after the bus stop. A very odd situation there, going straight into the barriers. And it's like he's having some trouble getting off here. So now we have Placer, Sims and Conway battling for 3rd. Then we have Hottie, Segers and Buckley battling for 6th place. Here nothing really happens compared to here, where Segers nearly lost a position on Buckley for 7th, and the first time didn't go through, but the McLaren still has a chance on the right side of racetrack. A touch, more than a touch, some bump draft probably. And the McLaren stays behind this time around. There is a chance that this was actually the last lap compared to what Fernando does, as Segers overtakes Hottie that went wide and lost several places, actually lost 4 places. Oh, he went on the grass and he's having some... Oh, I think the fuel is gone. Yeah, fuel is gone. Fuel is gone for Hottie. Can't make it to the end. You can see how much he's losing as time passes. But we stay here, but I really think that at this point Fernando will complete the race and takes the checker flag with Robert behind in second place, with Placer staying in the podium in third in front of Sims and Conway, completing the race just meters behind. Then 15 seconds later we're going to see Segers managing to stay into 6th, with Burjo basically throwing the car into 7th place. And doesn't keep the position, and Buckley manages to stay in 7th place with Burjo behind, with Hottie, Stewart and Anderson and Emma Alsen in 12th. McCutcheon follows behind with Woodward in 14th place, with Williams in 15th place, with Martinelli only 16th. Then Cotterill 22nd behind. In 17th. Last on track to come across the line, and after this it's going to be straightforward into race 2. He completes the race and it's not going through. So Fernando is your winner for race number 1. Not really sure what's happening here. Why is not this isn't working? Very odd. I'm trying to understand if there's any issue here. Doesn't seem so. There is no update. Not sure why we are still here. For some reason, okay, now it is. For some reason, the lobby wasn't going forward. Now it is. So this was race number 1 with Fernando, Robert and Pleister completing your top 3. Sims unfortunately has the fastest lap, had the win in his hands, but an incident into the bus stop without colliding with the walls, but still basically loss of the entirety of the position he had means that he's going to stay out of the podium that was my knee. I really think it was highly terrible. And we are going to be into race number 2 closely. And Woodward will possibly have a second chance to redeem himself. It wasn't really... Okay, thanks OBS for not working for 2 seconds. I really think that this means that YouTube will not like this. As always. For some reason, OBS exploded for a very short time. Let me see if everything is still on.
30 seconds.
30 seconds still on. Let me check quickly.
20 seconds. 10 seconds.
Okay, yes, it is still working. Lucky. So, since we'll start our lap, but in position number 1 this time around. And he probably will try to stay there as much as possible this time. So, entitled to the 30 minutes. 7 o'clock. So, lights on. Very likely. It's the same track as earlier, same qualifying grid as earlier, same drivers as earlier. The only thing that is different is the timing, which now shows 7 o'clock, a bit later during the night. In fact, many drivers will have to put their light beams on because, well, the visibility is not that much anymore. I'm trying to understand why is my PC having some stuttering? Some reasons. For unknown answer here. But we clearly saw that Sims and Fernando have the pace. Sims has it more than Fernando, but Sims unfortunately was protagonist of a very costly mistake that put him out of top 3 even out of the podium. But now 40 more minutes to go for them. And the entire preparation happened for the whole time. They had 30 minutes of racing, so it's there is very little chance that major incidents like earlier can happen again. I hope so, at least. Lights are getting put on. As the sound is under the horizon now. No light for, no natural light. And we're close to ask for some unnatural light. But Sims and Fernando are into row number 1 and will give the start to the race number 2 for the rookies into FRL. 70 km per hour maximum for all of them, and green light, and away we go with the camera that is not following the correct. Okay, now it is very better, quite a better start for the Ferrari here with the McLaren behind Fernando keeping the position. There is a McLaren trying to go for a position. There is a Ferrari completely out of track, and it hit someone. I'm not really sure who, because it was so. It was the Lamborghini of Brazier, but Robert managed to stay. Well, managed to keep the momentum high and managed to catch 3rd place with Woodward into 4th, but there's still some fighting ongoing here. You can see from the Mercedes that managed to take 2nd place even, with Fernando that stays there on the inside, keeps the momentum for the moment. Unfortunately, Woodward is a bit lost there, loses a couple of spots, but there is McCutcheon going sideways in the middle of the track, and also collided massively with someone, clearly from the damage visible from the outer cameras. Sagers is trying to go from the outside of Hottie. He managed to get as many positions as possible, but it clearly was a bit of a questionable start for him, considering he completely hit and put off track the Lamborghini behind of Brazier. Now in 14th place. Yellow flag being shown. It's actually Cotterill having another issue for the 2nd time in a row. Seems like this was not his night. Fernando now is in 2nd place. 1.4 seconds is the gap between Sims and Fernando. Robert is behind in 3rd place. Anderson is now in 4th. Woodward is only in 5th place, nearly colliding with the wall. And Conway with a lot of gap to be recovered with Plaster behind, with Van Onaker and Hottie. And Buckley is now in 10th for Sagers. There is a Lamborghini there into 14th place that is trying to keep the grip at once, but doesn't seem completely in control. Burgess now fades away from his visual, but you can see here the Buckley and Sagers are still battling for position, same as earlier on. But the number 391 has some front-end damage because of the incident earlier. We're going to have a look afterwards. Sparks flying off, and actually a chance for the Ferrari behind to try to get a place, but again it seems like Sagers has the pace, but he's not entirely sure to make the overtake at times, and this actually goes against him massively, since Burgio nearly had the chance to overtake him. He clearly has the speed, but he still hasn't got the confidence to make it through. With Plaster that now takes the position on Conway, that went for a mistake into turn 9. Vananaker may also have a chance to pass, then Hottie, Buckley and Sagers with Burjo behind, following closely. Then there is Drobat, and there is a free wide fault, but it becomes just too wide, and then becomes a single line. With Drobat, Anderson and Woodward fighting for 3rd place overall. Slight mistake by the Mercedes driver that leaves a gap open into the inside line, and there is a little contact also, but Anderson takes 3rd place, and Woodward tries to go for the inside. There isn't enough space available for him. He will stay in 5th place, and Anderson gains the podium position, number 3. And And the Son now will try to catch the two in front. 1 second gapped. And Woodward was close to collide with the Mercedes BVT. Here. Very close between two. But makes a little mistake there too, which puts Woodward in a very interesting position. Fernando stamps Prince, the fastest lap of the race so far, 44.4 for him. As Brazier tries to go through Segers in 11th place. It doesn't seem to happen for now. It clearly is a very viable option. While up in front here is Drobat and Woodward still in discussion for the position number 3 and number 4. Woodward has to make the place swap as quickly as possible, considering that Anderson is slowly fading away into the distance. 1 second already gained on Drobat, as the Polish driver so the defender against the British one. Seems like he took the pace back. 44.777 for Sims, and Fernando 45.0. Oh, there is nearly a contact between the two drivers, with Woodward nearly colliding with the Mercedes NASCAR line, completely avoiding the track limits, and also Segers and Hottie switching places, with Segers over the McLaren driver. Now sees the rear of the Ferrari 296 with the Lamborghini behind, getting the distance. Stays in 11th. As Brazil doesn't manage to collect another place. With Vanhoenacker that is very much behind Conway. With Brazier that this time around clearly wants to make it the pass into the inside, the lounge into the inside, throws the car, and Hottie nearly spins, and goes into the wall momentarily, so Brazier's place was made in the perfect moment. Oh, that's Hottie going straight into the wall. This time, again, all by himself. And oh, there is still Woodward. Very much hungry about places. This time around the Mercedes couldn't make the pass, but with a very aggressive closure on the inside, completely legal in my mind. But very risky too. Now that we have a bit of time, speaking of Brescia, this was the incident that happened between the 4 drivers here. You can see the Ferrari basically going straight and colliding with the Lamborghini, throwing it out of track. There was also a contact between 747 of Burj and the number 91 following that incident. Little contact between the two, which nearly put both cars out of race. There was also a contact between the 107 and the 41, with Williams basically taking out of the race the McLaren driver. And the last one was between the 888 with Anderson making the place with a little contact over the Mercedes of Drobat, now in 4th place, just in front of Woodward. Oh, that's a bit of a tap into the wall. These were the only 4 incidents recorded by the race control. Very interesting to see also what's happening in front, because now Sims and Fernando are shortly getting involved into some battle. This time around was very quick for Fernando, and Sims has the chance to make it through. For now, into P1, but I can't say the same for the next lap, since Fernando is extremely close to the rear bumper of the Ferrari 296. For now, the scenario seems stable between the 2 leaders. Rapidly approaching a Bentley, blue flagged. And which goes with right blinkers on and straight into the pits. Possibly now Fernando, not now, but if you can utilize these straight here, you can get very close to his opponent. Lapping 44.9, you can see a bit off the line, but not too much. And the McLaren is getting closer. And also Segers going extremely wide and off track, twice jumps into the track and gets back into 10th place. With the Lamborghini behind that was clearly very interested too. But what really happens is this: the McLaren goes for the move, and the Ferrari driver decides that the racing line is overrated, goes straight into the grass, jumps literally with his Ferrari and comes back in. Oh! Drobat made a mistake there. He was very much clear of the Ferrari behind. Way too wide, which let Woodward through. Oh, this is paradise. As Segers is again very aggressive on his car. And it is also the chance to go through Buckley for 9th place. It doesn't happen here, but I can say the opposite for what's happening up in front, since Sims and Fernando are still one after the other. With this driver that is for now a bit faster than Fernando. Still not completely clear as Woodward is showing yellow flags and going sideways, nearly colliding with the robot. I'm very curious to see what happened here. Unfortunately, he was just clear of all the cars. He went slightly too much wide and sideways. I'm also seeing something happened between Segers and oh, you can see here there was a contact between the two drivers here with the Ferrari completely going sideways into the wall, and Buckley keeping 8th place. We know Brescia are extremely close to driver here. We can see it back maybe. By this point of view, you can see the Ferrari going straight and actually making contact on the inside. It wasn't extremely clear from there. You can see better from here. It was in the inside, a bit too much on the inside. Leclerc had to close to avoid getting hit by the Ferrari on the outer side, which then put Segers out of contention ultimately. Conway is now in a bit of a sandwich between two cars, with Pleister in 5th place and Van Acker in 7th, and the British driver in 6th, trying to get through the Audi V10. Rohrer is showing yellow flags. Wonder what the reason is for this. He goes through bus stop in a very odd way, collides with the wall, and loses some spots now into 14th place. He was in 10th before that. These are the leaders passing through, and these are the 5th place contenders. With two Ferrari and an Audi. Last lap was in favor of Pleister, 46.120. Conway made us just a 46.4. I think this time around it's going to be different, with Pleister possibly going slower than Conway. In fact, 46.1 for Pleister again, but Conway made a 45.8 and 45.6 for Van Acker, whilst here it's definitely different, because this time around it's maybe the chance to make the move for Fernando. He goes very quick into the bus stop on entry, but on exit it's a different story. He will stay behind the Sims. For now, Fernando stays behind. Near 46 earlier on, so they are definitely slowing the pace down a bit. And Conway showing yellow flags are going sideways. He was in 6th place. Nothing in front, so I guess it is something bound to the bus stop. He goes a bit straight, in fact, and hits the curb. Doesn't collide with the wall, but flat spots his tires and loses the place on Baronacker. Now in 6th and 3 seconds away from Pleister. And there is here Woodward, that after his mistake is finding himself only in 12th place. He could have been in 3rd by now, but such thing will not happen since he's 7 seconds behind the leader. Now Woodward stays in 12th place. Unable to recover completely the time he has lost. Lapping 46.1, very slow compared to earlier on when he could have managed to make 45. At the very least, possibly the tires are not having a great time. Plus having a car in front doesn't really help his situation. As now there is a whole pack between Buckley and Woodward, this train that is now getting formed with Brazil, Burjo, GG and Woodward all behind the other, which could bring us a dash into the finish line with just a few laps to go. As a matter of fact, Burjo is now getting approached by the car 989 into the bus stop. It was a very optimistic photo. It doesn't go through. As you could clearly see, the 747 having immense damage on the side of the car. That is because of the lap 1 incident between the 91 and the 747, but also because I think the McLaren driver has a lot more downforce than the rival behind, since side damage doesn't really impact that much. See the GG now, he's extremely close. Oh, also contact between the two drivers. With Burjo nearly getting thrown out of the race entirely. At this point, I'm doubtfully thinking we will see something happen between Fernando and Sims as we are heading towards 3 laps to go. So now Brazier has created some gap from Buckley. And Woodward is taking this to his own advantage since he could be able to clinch into 11th and 10th place. As now there is a gap of 1 second between Sims and Fernando. I think this time Burjo will not have a great chance with GG that basically flies as quickly as possible. And completely annihilates Burjo in the straight line with Roller keeping the car on track barely. But you can see that Burjo has a lot of speed in the turns, but not so much into the straights, which is clearly not helping his fight for position with Brazier, that is also getting catched by this group of cars. And Woodward makes collision with Burjo that now is out of the track. It was clear that Woodward kind of missed the braking point, but we will stay with this fight here because GG has a chance to get into Brazier's position, into turn 1 even. Things can be generous. With the McLaren driver that tries it, but doesn't go through. I can say the same for Conway and Buckley, having a fight into the S's. And Robot is also having yellow flags being shown after the bus stop. He is in 4th place. Loses the place on Placer and Varonaker. So the Ferrari stays on top in the 137. And GG actually... Oh, there is a major incident there with Brazier completely going off track. But Woodward creating another incident. The robot still into the wall. And Brazier back into 12th place. Main incident by the 999 at the moment. We can have a look at all of them. You can see here the issue with Burjo. With Woodward completely destroying Burjo. Speak of which, now he is into the wall. And you can also see here making a very speedy collision with Lamborghini driver that went off track completely. And now Sims and Fernando are starting the last lap. And I think that this time around Sims can go home with his win this time around, as the last lap just started. Even if Fernando clearly doesn't want to let him go away so easily, Fernando gap is very high. 5 attempts. It's going to be extremely difficult. Fernando just needs a mistake by the leader. But it doesn't happen. And he goes through 10th and 11 to end the race into the lead and wins race number 2 with Fernando following just 3 times behind. Anderson completes the race into the podium, 9 seconds behind. 10 seconds, apologies. With Pleister in the Audi number 969 in 4th place, Ranacker in 5th, Conway in 6th, closely followed by Buckley in 7th place, centimeters away. GG completes it in 8th, with Brazier that is stopping on track and not so sure what's happening there. And Nelson is in 9th, Horner in 10th, Stewart in 11th, and I think Brazier is out of fuel. Brazier is indeed out of fuel. He will not reach the end of the race, with Stewart, Burjo, Woodward and Drobat passing him, and now also Martinelli. So unfortunately Brazier will not complete the race. Completely out of fuel just before the finish line. And will possibly come to an end now. Very unfortunate. Car will stay there in the middle of the track without any chance to come back home, and until it doesn't go into the pits, I can't show you the final leaderboard, as every driver is currently quitting, so I can't remember it by sheer memory. But this will be the end for our Watkins round, with Sims that took the flag, followed by Fernando and Anderson in 3rd place, with Pleister in 4th, Ranacker, Conway, Buckley, Gigi, Emanuelson, and Rohrer completing your top 10. So this was, oops, this is old. So this was the rookies for tonight. Next time we'll go to Alton Park for 1 hour of racing, then the final 2 rounds with Zandvoort and Indianapolis. The finale that I don't really sure that now I'm seeing it, 14th. Okay, no, I can't definitely. So Alton Park is going to be the next one, then Zandvoort, and then Indianapolis is going to be the finale. But until then, I will see you next time. Good evening, good night, whatever in the world, and see you next time. Bye.